Okay, I've got a question. What does a songwriting journal, a magical church pew, and a whole lot of sequins and fringe have in common?
Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in 2025's countdown to Christmas movie Hallmark's A Grand Ole Opry Christmas. And you had better believe we have got a lot to talk about, Jennifer.
We certainly do, Josh, and we are going to unwrap it all in this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch? Pow!
Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
Well, you guys, if you have been with us for any period of time, you know if there was one movie that Jennifer, my dear Jennifer, was excited for, it was this one. Because Jennifer was an extra in this movie. And so we had this question, would Jennifer make it into the final cut? We'll get to that in a moment. But first, this movie is also all about the Grand Ole Opry, which is celebrating 100 years in Music City and in the country music industry. And I got to tell you, if you are not from Middle Tennessee, the Grand Ole Opry is Nashville. And so this very much felt like a love letter to the city of Nashville. Not to show my cards too early, but I think that this very much hit a lot of nerve about what life is like in Nashville. What'd you think?
Exactly, and if you're new to the pod, Josh and I both live in Middle Tennessee, so we are very familiar with this country
Very.
music town.
Mm.
Very familiar. And I will tell you right now, if you are looking for an unbiased review of this movie, it ain't gonna be from me. They could have come on for 2 hours and just made armpit noises, and I would have been like, "Go!"
Watch it. Enjoy it.
Enjoy. But in all seriousness, we will give you the rundown of what happens. It's a lot. There's time travel. There's a lot going on, so stay tuned for that. And then at the end, we'll tell you whether it's worth your watch or not in our Gold or Coal segment. So here's the summary from IMDb. Gentry Wade, who gave up music after her father's death decades ago, must confront her past when Nashville's Grand Ole Opry invites her to honor her late country star dad at their Christmas celebration. Josh, have you ever been to a show at the Grand Ole Opry?
Yes. Yeah. I've been to the Grand Ole Opry and the Opry House, and there's just something magical about the place. And we get a little bit of that as we go in this. So let's unpack it all.
Okay, I will start off by saying my notes are based on the extended cut version of this movie,
Oh,
which was released on Hallmark Plus the day after the premiere. Have you seen the extended cut or just like the regular airing?
I watched the regular airing. Yeah. I saw the
Okay.
extended cut on Plus and probably will go back to watch it. So I'll be interested to hear how it's different than what we saw on Hallmark Channel proper.
Yeah, so if you have not seen the extended cut, it's not there are added scenes, obviously, and I do think if you're interested at all, go watch that first because this will spoil that, and I do think it's better if you see it firsthand than hearing about me retell it. So it was not nothing. This is also the third Saturday in a row Hallmark has made their big movie an extended cut the next day on Hallmark Plus. What are we doing? Because spoiler alert, the Three Wisest Men extended cut had a different ending.
Different ending. Different ending. It's almost like they're trying to thwart our efforts here on the podcast by changing the very thing that we're talking about. What are you guys doing?
Because, guys, we usually are watching them on Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and
Come on.
we're recording Sunday nights, trying to turn it around as quick as possible for you. Don't always have time for an extended cut, Hallmark. Let's maybe just edit a little better. So now I've watched this movie twice because, of course, I watched it in real time, which I never do. But the kids don't care. Go to bed. You are going to bed early tonight because Mama's going to be in front of the TV for her big motion picture debut of A Grand Ole Opry Christmas.
She had the IMDb page edited, ready to hit send in case she was on.
Had my headshot ready. Had my the one that
Ready
our
to
friend
go.
Melody took for the podcast. I was just going to upload it. Not to show my cards early, but no, dear listener, I was not featured even the slightest bit in this movie. Not just me. Okay, so
Nobody.
I was in I was there the day they filmed the 1995 Opry concert scenes, like with the duo, we'll get into it more, but when they were there doing the musical performance, there were a ton of extras in wardrobe, hair, makeup, all of that. You see nary a face from anybody that was there that day.
Nope. Sorry.
You see the back of some heads. It's possible one of those heads was me because I was sitting pretty close at that part. So I could say, but it's hard to tell. It's shadowy and dark. Couldn't tell. So we're going to say no. Big goose egg to my acting debut. Still happy and honored to have been a part of it and got to see it. But yeah, if you're here for that, Josh doesn't have to pay anybody an Amazon gift card because it was money in your pocket. Congratulations. All right.
Dang.
Now, the real deal, what you're here for. So we open to the Winters and Wade duo singing Leave the Christmas Lights On For Me, their big hit Christmas song. And they took footage that was filmed that day I was there by this band and interspliced it with actual 90s Grand Ole Opry Christmas special footage, which I thought was such a fun touch. And I guess that's why I got the axe, because they found this footage and they're like, we're going to use this instead. And one thing you need to know about the Opry crowd, having been quite a few times, it's not the liveliest bunch, not your typical concert crowd.
No.
Lots of older people sitting and politely smiling and maybe a clap or
Yes.
two. But I thought that was a
toe
great way to
tap.
kick it off.
An occasional toe tap, if you will.
Maybe
Yeah.
a toe tap. Yeah. So the duo is Jet Wade and Jet Wade and Vaughn Winters. They shake hands. They say Merry Christmas when they're done. They're walking off stage, but things seem a little icy. Cut to modern day, and Nikki DeLoach, a.k.a. Gentry Wade, is leaving to go pick up a shift at Category 10, which is the Luke Combs bar in town on 2nd Avenue. They say it's on Broadway. It's not on Broadway. It used to be the Wild Horse Saloon, and then there was a whole incident a few years ago we won't get into on here. They redid it. It's now Category 10. I've not been to it since it's changed over, but it looked really nice, and I have a good friend that works there, so shout out.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Kristoffer Polaha is at her door as she's ready to run out, aka Mac. Mac is a big-time music manager, and he's giving her a new country music-themed wreath that he was given, and he, I guess, thought it was a little tacky and it would look better on her door. They're immediately bantering, and you can tell that they have a close friendship from go. So it's not like they're just meeting and then we're starting. They already have an established relationship, which is much like Nikki DeLoach and Kristoffer Polaha's relationship in real life. They've been friends for 20-something years. This is their first movie together as leads. Very excited to see what they're going to do here. Okay. He says he wants to represent her as a songwriter, and she blows it off. And we cut to Gentry's working at Category 10. She's serving 2 patrons who are asking why her dad quit music back in the day. And she says, it's a question for the ages, and nobody really knows, including her. Rita, played by Sharon Lawrence, ponies up to the bar. And Rita was her dad's cousin, we learn. And she's still heavily involved in the music industry. And she waxes poetic about the Opry and the family and how it's the Opry's 100th anniversary with Vaughn Winters as they're tributing Winters and Wade at the upcoming Christmas special. And Gentry has been invited to represent her dad. She should do it. Gentry's feeling kind of skeptical about it because she's not really in that world. Cut to Mac meeting with some other music guy, and hey, are we going to sign this new kid Rowdy? Who's Rowdy? Drew Baldridge. What song did they play? A song that our friend Nick Schwartz was involved in. What? I didn't expect that.
Didn't either. Loved it. Yeah.
I knew he was a cameo, because also what you need to know, there's about 8 million country music cameos, and all of them have their real stage names, except Drew Baldridge gets like an extra elevated little bit to be an actor, and his, alias is Rowdy. So here we go.
Okay. Go for it. Yeah.
This music guy admires Mac's expensive watch he's like, I've earned it by winning Best Manager 5 years in a row, bro. Gentry uncovers her old songwriting journals back home from when she was younger, and clearly old memories are flooding back. We get a cameo by Erin Cahill, who is leading the Opry House tour that Mac, Rita, and Gentry are on. And Rita is trying to remind Gentry of the magic of the Opry at this point to kind of just please convince her to show up at this performance on Christmas Eve. And I do appreciate, I don't know if you caught this, they mentioned that a lot of the pews or the seating had to be replaced because there was a 2010
Mhm.
flood in Nashville, and that's true,
Mhm.
and it was a big deal. We were both here at
Huge
that
deal.
time, and so much devastation across because we usually don't get flooding in this part of the state, and the Opry was just one of many things that were severely damaged, so I liked that they attributed that. We get an added scene. Okay, here's the first added scene that I noticed. Mac whispers to Gentry, "Remember when we used to sit up on the pews on stage and watch your dad perform?" In the first version, it cuts. In the extended version, it shows a flashback to them sitting on stage as younger
Oh,
versions of
that's cool.
themselves, which was cute. It was quick. I understand why it got cut, but just so you know, that was there. All right. Then Rita talks to them about the importance of the 6-foot circle on stage. And if you're not familiar with it, basically the original WSM radio show program was filmed at the Ryman, which is in downtown Nashville. Then they relocated
Mhm.
to the Grand Ole Opry House. And when they did so, they took a 6-foot circle of the original wood flooring from the Ryman and placed it in the middle of the Grand Ole Opry floor. And Will the Circle Be Unbroken? It's a tribute to that song and that mythology. And also, it's like a sacred, holy spot, basically, for anybody who's
Mhm.
anybody in the music industry, not just country music. I think any genre. If you're at the Grand Ole Opry House, you respect the circle, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
We then get a slew of cameos because I guess if you take a tour of the Grand Ole Opry House, you're gonna meet 8,000 country artists. Who
It's
knew?
gonna happen. They're there all the time, just
We
hanging out.
s we
It's like
yeah,
a
they're just
country
hanging
club.
out talking to tourists. We see T. Graham Brown, Rhett Akins, and run into James Denton, who is playing Vaughn Winters, the other part of the duo from back in the day. Vaughn talks about Opry magic is mixed with Christmas magic, and who knows what can happen. And he has an eyebrow raise. And I was like, well, that's cute, but I didn't think much about it. More to come. Gentry walks on stage by herself and she imagines what her life could have been like if she kept writing songs. She sits down at the edge, kind of the center stage of one of these old, they brought like 4 old pews from the original Ryman, and those sit on stage. And that's usually where like the closest family and friends sit for the performances. She sits down and poof, flash. She's transported back to 1995. It's the Opry, it's the old set deck, and riders in the sky are yodeling, and she sees her dad playing guitar and warming up. Young Rita approaches her and yells at her, saying, "You can't be here." And she kind of bumps into Gentry. She falls back, sits down on the pew, and she's back to 2025. What just happened? Did you expect this?
Did not. I did not. I had heard that they were going to do a time travel thing in this movie, but I didn't know that it was going to tie in so intimately to the lore and the legend about the Ryman pews on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that as a touch because they could have gone a completely different direction with it, but to have that little wink and a nod. You know, I love a wink and a nod, and that was a good one. So
You got
I'm here
both with
for it.
this one.
I got,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
on Newport Christmas this season, we saw a Christmas comet being the reason that Jenna Claire Mason gets transported back in time. This time it's Opry pews. You know, there's got to be a device. So Mac finds Gentry and he's like, "Where have you been? What is going on?" She confides in him and says that she went back in time. And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I appreciate he starts like doing this physical comedy bit of like checking, feeling her head to check for concussion or a bump, which makes me laugh. She's not amused. She's like, "Fine, I shouldn't have told you." She talks about going back in time and storms off. The next day, Rita's having some of that sweet hot cocoa at category 10 and she's vibing. Sharon Lawrence, one comment, this is not a Cole, but a comment. I wish we had more of her. She's so good
Please.
in
She's so
everything.
good.
I was
Mhm.
hoping we'd get more of her. We got a lot more of younger Rita in the extended cuts, but could have used more Sharon Lawrence always. Anyways, she's having some sweet hot cocoa and she sees Gentry on the like rooftop balcony looking a little pensive. And Rita talks to her. She gives Gentry her RPM pin for the big record label that she was a part of. We're back at the Opry, and Megan Maroney and Jamie Johnson are singing a Christmas song. And I'll tell you, sidebar, if you're looking for a song to make you cry, go listen to Jamie Johnson. In Color is the name of the song. It is, have you ever heard it?
No.
It's not a Christmas song, but it is a beautifully written, beautifully performed song, and you will cry. Okay, come back to me. Leave a comment if you do. All right. Anyways, Mac calls Gentry to check in on her and see how she's doing. And did you notice it was, like, pitch black on Broadway when he's walking around?
Yeah.
There's no neon, there's no
No.
stoplights. I'm wondering if, like, real life, they just kinda when they were able to film him walking on Broadway, it was a timing issue, and, like, it must have been approaching sunup or something, and the lights
Mhm.
had clicked off already. It was weird. Broadway's never that dark. It's
No.
bonkers. Anyways, Gentry is talking to a security guy, and he knows who she is, and she's like, "Oh, I need to talk to somebody, so and so." He goes to get clearance for her to be backstage, and she takes off and outruns this security guard, which is our second bad security guard this week that we're talking about.
Emerging
She
themes, yes.
immediately yeah, makes a beeline to the Opry stage, sits on the pew, and poof, she is back to 1995 again. She's in the green room, and a piano player is wearing the exact same shirt that I swear my dad used to wear. It was like a black shirt with red embroidered roses on it. So I appreciate the wardrobe here. Oh, Gentry runs into the I said old Rita, but the 1995, I'll refer to her as young Rita from now on. Young Rita.
Mhm.
And Gentry makes up a fake name, and she's wearing the RPM pin, so Rita knows that she's from the label and gains 1995 young Rita's trust. Mac is talking to the modern day security guard, and he's like, "So she just disappeared? What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, she sat right there and disappeared." Mac sits down, poof. He goes back to 1995 too. That poor security guard. If I was him, I'd be like, "I'm taking some PTO.
Yeah, I need a
It's been a
minute.
day." Yeah. But I did like he sits down too, and he's like, "Come on," like, to see if he would transport too. I thought that was so funny. Alright. So, Mac finds Gentry, and they agree they're gonna stay in 1995 to see her dad and figure out why Winters and Wade broke up after this upcoming performance. Because basically, they performed at Christmas, which is what the movie opens with, and then they never performed together again, and what the heck happened, we don't know. So, they need to find a place to stay. They lie to Rita that they're married and that the airlines lost their luggage, and Rita invites them to stay with her. Mac has his phone, and the Wi-Fi doesn't work, of course, because Wi-Fi had not been invented yet, but the camera takes pictures still, so that's important for later. He is a gentleman, and it's Hallmark, so Kristoffer Polaha's sleeping on the floor, and Gentry's in the bed. They have some sweet little flirty pillow talk, none the same, and talk about how crazy this all is and what does it all mean. The next day, Mac says he's going to distract Rita, and he asks to look through the Opry archives while Gentry tries to sneak and go talk to her dad. And this was another, I think, cutscene. I don't know. Rita said she tries to get him a room at the Gaylord Opryland Resort, but it's all booked because Gaylord Opryland, Gaylord Opry Hotel, all of it's owned by the same people. If you've never been to Nashville, go to the Gaylord Opryland Resort at Christmas. It's
Gorgeous.
magical.
Yeah.
Yeah. N- Now here is a new scene. Mac goes to a jeweler and sells his watch, which we did not
Huh.
see.
We
But
didn't
they
see
allude
it.
to
We
it
heard
later.
about it. Yeah.
We heard about it, and I actually am glad they cut the scene from the original because I think yeah, we'll get to it. Okay. This extended cut's rocking my world along with space-time continuum stuff. They then another edited scene, they go on a shopping spree. Rita takes Gentry and Mac to get some 1995 fashion, and it's full of Garth Brooks-looking shirts and stirrup pants, and it was really fun. Completely unnecessary, so I see why it was cut, but it is a fun scene. I guess I just originally thought Rita borrowed clothes for them to wear. I didn't really think about how and why they were wearing what they were wearing. Cut to the Opry in 95, and they do show an exterior shot of what the Opry used to look like, which I appreciate a lot. Mac and Rita are getting to work in the archive room for reasons I don't know why. Just piddling around to learn some history. Gentry
Mhm.
finds her dad playing on stage with Von Winters, and the manager walks up, the duo's manager, and things are tense. Gentry introduces herself to Jet Wade, aka her dad, and she's trying to get intel as to like, so how are things going? How's Von Winters? How's the new record? And he says he knows the last couple of records haven't done as well, but he basically, Vaughn always writes the music and her dad always wrote the lyrics, and they pride themselves on being the only songwriters on their record. They don't outsource songs. But they think the next album, which they're going to start recording in February, is going to be better. things are looking up. All right. He also says he's going to call his wife because his wife is in Gatlinburg with his daughter for Christmas. And Gentry remembers that trip and how it was her first white Christmas that she saw. Turns out Winters and Wade were not planning on breaking up in the next 3 days, so what the heck happened? Mac talks to Rita about his love for his... Oh, yeah, okay, so this is a new scene, too. Mac is talking to Rita while they're going through archive stuff about his love for his grandma, who kind of helped raise him, I guess, and how she owned a flower shop on Gallatin Pike. And Rita's like, oh, I go to that place all the time. Hilty is a doll. Hilty was Mac's grandma. So Rita knows Mac's grandma. And in real
Ah,
life, also, sidebar, a real woman named Hilty Bowen wrote the story.
full circle. There you go.
Well, circle. Will the circle be unbroken? All right, we're
No,
at the 1995 Opry Market. I don't know where this was filmed, the Opry
I
Market.
don't either. I don't either. I was trying to place it myself.
There were a
I've
couple
been in
scenes I was
lots of
like,
places. Yeah, there've been a
yeah,
lot of places in Middle Tennessee. I could not pinpoint where the scene was. Yeah.
I couldn't either. Gentry hears the manager telling Von Winters that if they want to be like Brooks and Dunn, they need to change their plan up and go on a huge tour, and they need to bring in other songwriters to beef up their music because the last 2 albums are not doing well. Vaughn sees Gentry and he's like, hey, come to my big Christmas party. The label's paid for it anyways. You were with the label, right? And they walk into this party, and it's Mac, Rita, and Gentry, and they all look so 1995 country fantastic. So much sparkle.
So much.
Everybody was decked out so well. I thought it was so fun. And Gentry walks into Vaughn and the manager telling Jet they need to bring on the new writers. And this is news to Jet, and he does not take it well. They get into a little tiff. And then the manager throws Gentry under the bus and was like, I thought, basically acting like it was partially her idea as well, which makes Jet mad at Gentry, aka his daughter. It's a whole thing. She goes to talk to her dad, who has stormed outside, and it's icy. He's not very kind to her. Rita then gives Jet the business about how he was rude to somebody from the label. He's looking forward to going to Gatlinburg for a couple weeks after their performance. That's all he's trying to do. Get through this performance, go clear his head in Gatlinburg, because he wants a white Christmas. He says it no less than 8 trillion times. Okay?
Right. Yes. He's got goals. That's okay.
It's time for a reset. Tree and Mac are out by the fire at this party, and they're unpacking things that they've learned. And she talks about how she won the award at a songwriting camp the following summer, so summer of '96. And where did that girl go? What happened to her? And she had found some of the lyrics in her journal, and she sings a cappella some of this song that she'd started that she had one day wanted to finish with her dad, but her dad dies at some point. I'm unclear of when he dies and how he dies. They don't really get into that I've seen, but they never got to finish the song, and she kind of gave up songwriting after that. But Nikki DeLoach can sing, y'all.
She's got pipes. Yeah, and that's tough to sing a cappella, and she did a great job. It was really a good scene, I thought.
It was, and I forgot she was in the Mickey Mouse Club. Like,
Well, there you go.
when Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake, all that crew in the 90s, she was
hmm
one of them. So the fact that we haven't heard her sing much until now is a crime, and we want more. There you go. Jet Wade overhears her singing and is intrigued by it. Mac encourages her to finish writing the song. Okay, we're at then an Opry rapping donation event that I think was filmed on the Korean Veterans Bridge that wasn't built until 2004. So it looked like the bridge, didn't it?
Yeah,
With
I thought
like
so.
pipe
Yeah.
and drape, maybe? I don't know. Hard to
Yeah.
tell. Gentry talks to Jet, and he tells her how he heard her song the other night. She should finish it. Hey, why don't you meet me and we'll finish it together, kind of thing. Rita, this is another added scene. Rita asks Mac to go pick up flowers for the Opry at his grandma's old flower shop, except she doesn't know it's his grandma's. But like another cut scene that seems pretty important. He walks into this flower shop in 1995 and sees his grandma who helped raise him. What a surreal experience. Then he turns and it's his old self walking through the door to pick up an order of flowers because he was her delivery driver. And he was bummed. She tells Mac, okay, follow me. She tells Mac Yeah, that's my grandson. He's having a hard time because the girl he liked he wanted to ask her to win her formal, but he didn't ask her soon enough. He waited too long and she went with somebody else and he's all sad about it. And she gives a speech about like not giving up, not missing out on chances. And why was this cut? Because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I wouldn't have cut that. I mean, I get, maybe they just decided they didn't have time to really flesh out his whole story of that ask trying to get her to go to the winter formal, because that meant you had to do that scene, you had to introduce grandma, and she had a flower shop, the whole 9 yards. So that would have been probably those chunks that they could have taken out, so this thing made
I know,
time.
but I do feel like as a result, the Mac story was a little underserved. I mean, I thought that when I first watched
Yeah,
it, I was like, this is mainly a
I
Nikki
did
DeLoach
too.
movie and less of a Kristoffer Polaha movie. But
Yeah,
they cut
yeah,
a couple of his big poignant moments. So
yeah.
to
Hmm.
me, and they do allude to it later how he wanted to ask her out and he chickened out or whatever. And then whoever she ends up going with in the real timeline was her first husband, right? So like they do allude to that later. So it was covered, but man, seeing him see his old grandma, it got me in my feels. So it's a
Hmm.
great scene.
Hmm.
Anywho, okay. Gentry meets with Jet to finish her song, and he hands her his guitar, Gigi. Max stumbles in on them writing the song, and he gets out his smartphone in 95 and videos Gentry with her dad. How does that work?
Unclear. Yeah,
Don't care.
yeah.
I have so many
Don't
questions, but I
care.
guess I'm saying I don't care. At the end, Jet tells her that, hey, your daddy would have loved that song. Stop it. The manager walks in with Vaughn for another tense meeting, and it's an updated recording schedule. Guess what, guys? We're going to get back in the studio December 26th. We're going to go on a big world tour for 9 months, and Jet is not happy about this. He wants 2 weeks in Gatlinburg for his White Christmas. He wants to be home more. He wants to be at Gentry's summer camp. Like, no, 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 not happy. And basically, they're like, well, either get on board with this plan, or Vaughn Winters can be solo.
Ugh. Yeah.
Ugh.
It's
This
the
was hard to
underbelly
watch,
of
and
the
honestly,
business. It was. Hmm.
I'm sure it happens. This kind of thing happens a lot more than anybody would wanna believe, right? So, Rita puts Gentry and Mac to work in the kitchen back at her house, and they're baking enough cookies for all of Nashville, Tennessee. Like, she rattles off this list of the cookies they make, and they're like, "Okay," to hand out at the Opry. We get a baking montage. Josh, how would you rate this baking montage?
I mean, I was, not to show my cards too early, but I was in love with everything about this movie, and I think that this one was just an added benefit. It did feel like a little bit like we got to do something that feels like a traditional Hallmark thing, so let's give them a baking montage.
Mhm.
But I was still here for it. It had a '90s flair to it, which I loved as well. So
Yeah, yeah. Uh Entry catches Mac, like, well, he's using a rolling pin or something, and she's looking at his wrist, kinda funny, and then she learns she's like, "Where's your watch? Your really expensive watch?" And he sold it so they would have money to spend because they didn't know how long they were gonna stay in 1995, and he didn't want her to have to worry about the financial aspect of it because obviously their credit cards wouldn't work or anything while they were there. He wanted her to focus on being with her dad. Amazing move. Again, I'm okay that they'd cut the scene before of him selling it because I liked this reveal better that she just, like, stumbles into finding out he'd sold it and to see her reaction. I thought that was so good.
yeah, agreed.
Ring, ring. Rita gets a call at the house. Jet's gone missing. He got into a tip with Vaughn Winters. Didn't go well. He didn't turn up for final rehearsal last night, and the big Christmas show is tonight. So Mac and Gentry set off to go find him, and they find him in some like colonnade place by the river. Again, guys, we've lived here how many years? Like I've lived here all my life. Never seen where they're at. I don't know. I even Googled like Nashville Riverfront Colonnade. Like, is this some new thing made to look
Mm,
old? It was
Unclear.
beautiful. Couldn't tell you where it was. I would love to know if you know. But um, they have this basically like big unpacking of emotions with the three of them. So they find Sad Jet. He's having an emotional scene where he just doesn't really want to pursue music anymore if this is what it's going to be, if it means sacrificing time with his family. Mac talks about how he loved a girl once and was scared to ask her out, all that business, but they lost a lot of time. Jet asks Gentry how she'd feel if her daddy hadn't been there to watch her win a songwriting award, and she definitely preferred when her dad stepped back from his job to be there. So Jet's like, okay, I'm gonna go, presumably to the Opry, but he didn't say it.
Hmm.
And Mac takes this opportunity as they're walking back to kiss Gentry multiple times. Hello,
Ooh,
hubba hubba. And there's more
hubba
than
hubba.
6 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go.
It was a whole lifetime of build-up for the smooch fest, and I was here for it.
Hmm.
We're backstage at the Opry, and Vaughn Winters has a tight-dressed girl coming out of his room. Did you see her?
I did.
Big hair, short dress, leopard print.
Hello.
Can't lose. Hello, hubba hubba. Ew. And he talks to Gentry, and he's figured out she's fake, right? Because he called the label. They don't know who she is. So what's her deal? He thinks she's just trying to get an in as a songwriter to write for them. That's not really it, but she goes with it anyways because we're just going to lie. And he's like, hey, I want to meet with you. Maybe you can do some writing for me on the record. Cool. Jet walks in. He does show up for the Opry performance. He tells Vaughn he doesn't want to headline stadiums, and he wants to spend Christmas with his daughter and wife in the snow in Gatlinburg. I've told you people, I'm going to Gatlinburg, the happiest place on earth.
I'm getting my white Christmas and my pancake pantry pancakes.
He's just, I mean, yes, it usually snows in Gatlinburg more than it does in Nashville, but we're putting an awful lot of stock that it's going to snow in Gatlinburg that year.
A lot of eggs in that basket. Yeah.
We're giving up a career for this snow, but okay. Jet says, hey, we'll just tell people we had a good run and the rest is our business to keep to themselves. And they did, right? Like nobody else ever knew why they broke up, but this is going to be their last performance. It's the Opry Christmas show. Mac and Gentry are side stage, and Jet forgot his guitar pick. He's searching, right? He's searching. Mac's like, I'll take it out to him. And he runs out to give 1995 Jet, her dad, the guitar pick. Has a tussle, gets caught up in some backstage people, some extras sitting on pews. I wish I'd been on that set, but okay. And he gets bumped in, like basically they sit him down. Like the usher sits him down in his pew because it's go time. He's back to present day. I was legitimately sad.
No.
Because they had tossed around this idea, like, do we just stay in 1995?
Yeah. Do we just kind of make it a go here? Why not? Yeah.
Which was another choice. But yeah, now what do we do? Because now they're separated again. And when he gets back, he keeps like standing up and sitting down, trying to get back to her, and nothing's working. So what are we going to do now? Curtain up, and it's time to leave the Christmas lights on for me, which is a song clearly sung by Brad Paisley that they're making it seem like this Winters and Wade is singing. It's another chance for me to be in the movie that I'm not in the movie, folks. But I'll tell you, I had that song stuck in my head for about the next 5 to 7 business days because I heard it a lot.
A lot.
It's kind of a jam. Yeah. All right, we're backstage at the Modern Opry. Mac's trying to figure out what to do, but he's running back into a cavalcade of cameos by Pam Tillis, Mickey Guyton. We see Rowdy, a.k.a. Drew Baldridge. Mac's going to work with Rowdy. He's going to sign him on. They're going to work together. It's going to be great. Bill Anderson tells Mac he's seen Rowdy's videos on TikTok. Really, Bill? Have you? Are you on the TikTok a lot, Bill?
Are you on the tick? Are you talking?
I somehow doubt that, but okay.
Yeah, there's no
So
way.
it's like splicing the modern day performances of the Opry, the 100th anniversary or birthday of the Opry with 95 Christmas stuff, and they're going back and forth, and it's kind of confusing if you don't really pay attention of what's going on. But the performance is over in 95. They shake hands, which is exactly what we saw in the beginning of the movie. They say goodbye. Jet talks to Gentry, and he's like, hey, you should work with Vaughn on songwriting. You have a gift. He gives her his guitar, and he said, hey, would you say that your daddy was a good daddy? And she says, the best. And she's crying, and he's like, I hope my daughter thinks of me that way one day. She hugs him a really long time. So we had to laugh at one way. He's like, okie dokie. All right. Like, they're there. Like, listen, lady, I'm married. I can't be
Yeah,
hugging
right?
you this much.
Yeah.
And he takes off his hat, and we see this silhouette of him walking to like through the doors of the backstage at the Opry, and she knows that will be the last time she sees him. She takes the guitar and she looks at the pew. What is she going to do next? Cut to modern day, we get local Nashville legend Kelly Sutton introducing the 2025 Opry show. She brings out Vaughn Winters, and is going to honor them. The lights flash, and Gentry shows up on the pew holding her dad's guitar.
Just brought it with
she
her.
looked goofy. And so, just look, this shot looked a little goofy to me. She's like, I went to Nashville and all I got was this here guitar, like it just
Right.
it was a choice. But she stands up and Vaughn Winters is like, oh, Gentry, you're here. You came. He introduces her and he pulls out the words of his pocket to the finished song, Falling Just Like Snow. And he invites her to step into the circle, and she has these baller red cowboy boots on that, P.S., the Hallmark and Opry collab are selling. And turns out he sent Brad Paisley the song, and Brad Paisley's going to come and sing it for them because her dad and her co-wrote it. What? This is when I got confused. I have a theory, but this is when I got confused. But Gentry and Vaughn Winters walk to the back pews to watch Brad Paisley sing her song, and they both kind of look at each other like, are you going to sit down first? Am I going to sit down? And he kind of raises his eyebrow, and they both sit down. So did he go back in time too? He had to have.
That's a good thought. I hadn't put that much thought into it. Flesh that out. So if he goes back in time, I don't know.
I don't know. That's why I can't flesh it out. How would he have the fully written song in his pocket and know that she finished it with her dad if that didn't happen in the original timeline?
But she went back and finished the song with her dad. So that
So it's
little
not
piece
like
of history changed.
So she did change history?
Yeah. She changed history as it relates to that song.
Okay.
Because she finished it with her dad. Yeah.
Well, I know she did, but I didn't think that changed everybody's history. Huh. You're probably right. He just seemed like he knew more. I don't know.
Well, he hints
Maybe I just don't
that
trust
he
anybody
knows
named...
more. He hints
Yeah.
that he knows more, that there's Opry
Yeah.
magic and Christmas magic, and sometimes the best stuff happens when they overlap. He says something like that.
Yeah. But he said that before she time traveled, too. I don't know.
No.
Can somebody smarter than us explain? I mean, I know at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? This is all
No, it doesn't.
crazy time
Yes.
travel. None of it matters. But I'm just curious what was supposed to be the intent. I think he went back, too, because he hesitated to sit on that pew. I think he's been back before.
Maybe. Maybe he's a time traveling country star.
Maybe so.
Could be.
I don't know. Okay, let's wrap it up. Anyways, we get dancing side shots on the side stage, and Mac is dancing with Rita. Rowdy, Drew Baldridge is there. They're all having a great time watching the song be performed. We cut to 1995 Jet getting to a snow-covered Gatlinburg and hugging his daughter and his wife, so his dream is complete. Thank goodness. And then Vaughn Winters says, hey, you never did that writing session with me, which is another thing that only happened to this updated movie timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess she did change history. I don't know. Anyways, she was like, yeah, well, here, hold on to my dad's guitar to ensure kind of like collateral that I'll show up for the writing session. They're going to write together. And then they stand outside, Mac and Gentry, and he says, I tried to come back to you so many times, but nothing happened. So many times? That's why I don't know the time. I don't understand. I feel like how long was she there? I don't know. I'm thinking about it too much. It doesn't matter. He says, I can't remember when I didn't love you. He shows her the video of her and her dad writing this song, which is bonkers. And then they kiss as it starts to snow in Nashville, which it literally never does on Christmas. End scene.
It's time for Golden Coal.
Okay, it's time for our Gold or Coal segment. So this is how we break it down and tell you if we think it's worth the watch. We're each going to bring 3 gifts here to the podcast. If there's more gold in the total, we're going to say it's an award-winning song. If there's more coal, we're going to say it just hits flat notes. And if it's a tie, 3-3, we're just going to call it a meh. Merry Christmas. Jennifer, got to come to you first. What do you think?
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. My first no, sorry, gold record
Breaking
scratch.
news.
No, my first gift is gold, and it is flawless casting. Everybody here was so great, in my opinion. Rob Mays as Jet, standout performance for him. We saw him at Christmas in Dahlonega. Do you remember he was there? He was on that panel. We didn't meet him, but he was there
Yeah.
that day.
Hmm.
He was fantastic in this role. Sharon Lawrence as Rita. Young Rita. I mean, there's a gnat attacking me in my room. Everybody was just so top notch and believable, and I was obsessed with the entire cast.
Love it. I'm going to start with gold. This is like time travel done well. You know,
Mm,
it's not just time travel for the sake of time travel. I loved the wink and the nod, like I said, to the Ryman Pews. It felt genuinely like it transported back, and they paid
mhm.
attention to details and they made it all work in a way that felt believable as time travel could be, right? And
Right.
I loved it for that reason. So gold there.
I will give some gold. I loved that we focused on the father-daughter relationship even more. Yes, there was the romance of Gentry and Mac, and obviously those actors were phenomenal together, but I love this father-daughter relationship really being like the the antithesis of the film. I thought it was really special. I said it before a little bit, and I put it on our Instagram too. My dad was in a country music band. He was a songwriter. It's why we moved to Nashville when I was really young. I was like a couple months old. And he won a BMI award for a song he co-wrote one year. And so like country music, I grew up with it in that era. It just it and I lost him a couple years ago. And what I wouldn't give to be able to sit on a pew at the Opry. Had I known it was magical, I would have sat on it that day as being an extra and be transported back. Like, what would any of us give to see somebody we've lost just for one more moment? Like, gives me so many feelings. So, gold.
And to that end, I'm giving gold to Nikki DeLoach. She is just standout in this role. This is like, she's good in everything I've seen her in.
Mhm.
She's great in this. It just feels like she brought so much heart and so much intention and wanted to do so much justice by this role and this story and this moment for Hallmark Channel. And I think that she doesn't just carry this movie, she does such a good job of elevating this movie by
Mhm.
giving it her all. And so I think that it's a great standout performance for her. Maybe one of the best I've ever seen her in, and maybe
Mhm.
one that will probably stand the test of time in her career.
Yeah, it's definitely a standout. And like you said, she's no slouch. Like
No,
she's
never.
always great. And she has done movies about loss many times and she's always really good, but this was different. I agree. My last gift, of course, I enjoyed the Nashville of it all, the history of it all. I enjoyed the music. I thought the songs, especially the Vaughn Winters and the Brad Paisley songs were really good. They could have easily been really cheesy, and they are I mean, country Christmas songs are cheesy anyways, but I thought they were really well done and executed. I will say, this is not cold, but a comment. I could have if I did anything different, I would have cut the musical numbers down a little bit to make room for that Kristoffer Polaha grandma scene, because the songs dragged on a little bit too long for me, and it's a real estate issue, right? So I wish we kinda coulda cropped them a little bit to get the flower scene in, but that's not cool. It's still all gold for me, but just a comment.
Yeah. And my last gift will be gold. This movie could have just sort of dipped its toe in the Opry culture. I felt like they really went there with the Opry culture.
Mhm,
Like they explained the significance of things. They took you there. They made sure you knew what the circle meant and that the circle played a prominent role in this particular story. And I just really feel like this was very much a love letter to the Opry. and it was so
Mhm.
well done and so authentic and so fun. I loved seeing Kelly Sutton. She hosts the Grand Ole
Yes!
Opry. I've known Kelly for years. As I mentioned previously, I worked in local news and she worked in local news at the same time. And so we knew each
I
other
know, I
from
remember
that
seeing
world.
her years ago, like, doing the morning news on a local
Yeah.
station, yeah, to see where
And
she is now, it's awesome.
she's lovely. And I just love that they did that and went there and just, it felt like it was so authentic. And I think that really serves this movie well, is that they did the work to make this feel as authentic as possible. So at the end of the day, 6 gold. 6 gold, definitely worth the watch. Final thoughts for you, Jennifer.
I was nervous going into it that it would just be a big ad for the Grand Ole Opry because it easily could have been cheesy and like buy our merch and buy a ticket to the Grand Ole Opry. Like, and I think they walked that line really well. Obviously, it was a partnership with the Opry. Obviously, it's heavily Opry influenced, but in a good way. Kind of like what you said. Like they romanticized the Opry and gave it the respect that I think it deserves and explained it in a way that people who are unfamiliar with country music or the Opry would appreciate and could get into. I saw an awful lot of comments online. I don't like country music. I'm not watching it. Well, there really wasn't that much country music. There was a little
No,
bit,
there's
but it
not.
wasn't overly a twangathon or anything. Or I don't
No.
like time travel movies. Well, why not? I don't know. Like, what do you
Yeah.
like then at that point? So,
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. It exceeded my expectations. Again, we've seen a lot of promos for it, so I was really afraid that it would fall flat, but it didn't. It exceeded my expectations, and it's definitely one of the best of the year. So,
Yeah, we had
you?
plenty of positive comments on our social media channels. This is, I think, one of those that I would come back to again and watch and enjoy and try to pick up on winks and nods and, cameos and all that sort of stuff. I think that they did a bang up job with it. Definitely worth the time. And that, my dear friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch? By the way, Jennifer, so sorry that you were not in this one. I was bummed.
Oh, that's okay. That's
There's
okay.
always another time. Yeah.
There's another time, Hallmark. We're here. I mean, we could have been on the tour. We could have been Josh and I are available, guys.
We are.
And we're
Just
happy
saying.
to be just a part. But regardless if I was on it or not, being there that day, I got to meet Nikki DeLoach and Kristoffer Polaha, as I've said. They were very kind. And like just seeing everybody that goes into the making of these movies and the whole staff could not have been kinder. Like it was just such a great experience to get to see that I'll never forget it. So I'm
Love
happy
that.
regardless. I was more afraid I would be on it and look stupid. So if it's that versus not being on
Not in
it,
it?
that's fine.
You're
Also, I was
good.
also like, I was hoping it wasn't they pan around and like you see my ear and that's it. Like we're good. I'm
Yep.
fine.
Good for you.
All
All right.
happy to have been there.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts about this one. Leave us a comment below or connect with us on our social media channels at doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com. And a special thanks to our good friend Nick Schwartz for our amazing theme song. And of course, to each and every one of you for taking the time to listen on your favorite podcast platform or by connecting and watching on our YouTube channel.
That's right. And actually, we did have a couple people write in, and I need to read these because I'm bad about asking for comments and not reading them. So, real quick, Mary said the Grand Ole Opry Christmas was the best movie this year. Fantastic actors, great writing, beautiful scenery, and the Opry stars were a plus. Chris and Nikki have chemistry off the wall. Listener Mackie, our friend, says a Grand Ole Opry Christmas, Nikki and Kristoffer were one of my most anticipated pairings, and they didn't disappoint. Their final scene in the falling snow was magical. So, thank you guys for those comments, and thanks for being here. Next time, what are we talking about? Hold on. Too many
The
movies this week,
more,
Josh.
the
Okay.
merrier. Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Can you tell us the plot summary?
Sure. So the plot summary for The More the Merrier. This is, of course, Rachel Boston and Brendan Penny. Alice is an emergency room doctor volunteering to work on Christmas Eve at a rural hospital. During a snowy Christmas, Alice and Brian, a top-rated cardiologist who is new to town, help deliver 3 baby booms, sparking a lasting bond. We're going to have much to discuss with that one, and until we see you then.
May your days be merry and bright. Bye, y'all.